All right, here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Bill.
Here we go. Episode number 243. 243. We're heading for that big 250.
Oh, come on. There's got to be a party then.
And then sooner or later, we'll end up to number 300. Can't wait for that day. Today's episode name is 6 Breakthrough and Common Reasons Sellers Don't Do Deals with Rookies Effortlessly.
Oh.
6 Breakthrough and Common Reasons Sellers Don't Do Deals with Rookies Effortlessly.
So this is what we're not supposed to do. Do not do this.
Right.
Do not do this. Okay. Well, you know, as important it is to do this and do that.
Right.
It's like I sent a document off to my lawyer yesterday. Like, will you please read this? Like, is this right? Should I add something? Should I take something out? Like, take this out. You know, don't do some things. Don't say some things. So let's see what you got, William.
Creating a profitable real estate business is not all about the correct or right things you do, but also a lot has to do with the bad habits. Notice that H word, habits.
Oh. Yeah, we don't do it on purpose.
Yeah, right. Or wrong actions. Or wrong actions. So I'll start over. But also a lot has to do with the bad habits or wrong actions you do or don't do. And often most rookie creative real estate investors are not even aware they are doing it, are not doing them. And the effects it leaves with sellers sometimes causes sellers to change their mind. Yeah, how many times have I heard that in coaching? I don't know what happened. He changed his mind. Huh.
Yeah.
Getting and making profitable responses from sellers could be complicated enough without any of these 6 common reasons. Then you add these into the mix, and it is like running around the baseball diamond 40 times just to get one home run on the scoreboard.
Nice imagery, Bill.
We are going to break it down in this podcast so you can start to use or not use the most breakthrough and common reasons sellers don't do deals with rookies. Once each one is revealed to you, your mind will brighten up and quite possibly overcome your barriers to completely flourishing and prospering using creative real estate strategies on pretty houses for huge profits.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Here I am giving them bold promises again. Here we go.
Go ahead.
So let's do the housekeeping stuff first. So if you are, depending on where you're listening to us, in the description, there is a link there to go to our free stuff page that has over 25 different free things, you know, like documents and scripts and videos. And I think last week I mentioned the one document that I think is completely underrated, mostly by me, because I don't talk about it enough, is the lease option explained. I mean, if you just went to the free stuff page and you downloaded the lease option explained document that's, I think, 5 pages, and hand wrote it like 10 times, you wouldn't need to listen to me explaining to you what a lease option is. You would get it. You wouldn't need to like buy more courses and pay more money and do all that crazy stuff that us rookies, or you rookies, because I'm not a rookie anymore, do.
Yeah.
All right, so that link is in your description wherever you might be, whether it's a podcast or if you're on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you are, YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. That's what I'm thinking. So that brings me to the next thing, which is you can be with us live every Thursday morning at 9:30. Well, we've been doing 9:15 lately, but around 9:30 a.m. You can find us at what I call Flake Book in ZooTube, because YouTube is a frickin' zoo. I've been trying to do some advertising on there. And oh my goodness, it's a head spinner. It's like poltergeist when I'm on YouTube. Like my head is spinning, shit's flying, temperature gets cold, lights dim, lightning comes in, thunder, the whole 9 yards.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, anyways, enough of that dramatization. You could go with us when we are live streaming, recording this video or live streaming. You will be able to go on to one of the platforms, either Flickbook or ZooTube, and you can put in the comments or in the the Facebook chat any questions you might have, and then we'll answer them right while we're on the podcast. Okay, so that's my housekeeping stuff. So Pete, today I would like to start today's show off with an analogy so the listeners really truly get how important this podcast is.
Okay.
Okay.
We like our stories.
Yeah. So my brother-in-law, who's a super nice guy, has been married to my sister, I don't know, maybe 30 years. It's been quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And as long as I've known him, he's had like this wicked trouble with his stomach.
Huh.
He's been more ill than not. But it's not like the type of illness that like puts him in bed. It's like, it's a type, he gets diarrhea, and he just doesn't feel good. And yeah. So
sure.
He manages to live his life, but it seems to be a bit uncomfortable. And he's pretty good at kind of like hiding it or keeping it in the background. He'll still do family functions, but you won't see him run off to the bathroom and that kind of stuff, right?
That's too bad.
So then when I was staying with them down in Florida during the pandemic, because in the pandemic, the first part of March, I was volunteering at a church, and I found out that the church was going to close on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. And by Friday at noontime, I was in my little Nissan, loaded up with all my stuff, had no idea when I was going to come back, and a box of cigars. I brought my whole humidor. My entire humidor was there. I smoked an entire box of cigars driving to Florida in 22 hours. The entire time I had a cigar in my mouth. It was a total Cheech and Chong, complete stink fest, okay? It was brutal. So off I go to Florida, and I'm down there for like many months. You know that, right? I was there for many weeks, a couple months, right? I just bolted in, Ironically enough, my wife was down there working, so she came up. So it was my wife and I and my sister and my brother-in-law, right? So during this stay with them when I was in Florida, I started to talk to him, right? So let me catch up to my notes. So I kind of know how he felt because I've had this kind of stomach trouble early on in my life, right? So I started to talk to him and just kind of, try to help him with, what was going on, right?
Yeah.
So we got into a pretty good conversation about his stomach, right? So having been through this, like I said myself, I felt like I could at least give some advice, right? I didn't know if it was the right advice. I didn't know if it was unsolicited advice, but I felt like I should try to help, right?
Sure.
Anyway, here's what the outcome was. He loved beer on the weekends. Okay, so he was the type of guy, he would work his ass off Monday through Friday, like, 10, 12-hour days, especially down there in the heat, right?
Yeah.
And he would want to relax on the weekends. So he would come home on Friday night, and first thing he would do is crack open a beer, and then all weekend he would drink beer. Now, I don't think he was an alcoholic or anything like that, but he just liked his beers. And then there were certain types of food that he would like to binge on, right? So between the food and the beer, okay, I think it was an overdose of sugar for him,
right,
on the weekends.
Right. Sure, a lot of sugar in the alcohol. Sure. The beer,
right.
Yeah.
So we decided to try. There's a vitamin that I take, or I used to take. I don't take it anymore. It's called Black Spanish Radish. It's from Standard Products. You know that because you probably, I don't know if you. I think
I
Doctor,
ran a nutrition office with one of our friends, and it's standard process.
Okay.
Standard process. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a nice
So
line of supplements.
Dr. Euling 20 years ago introduced me to it. That's how I know about it, right? So
yeah,
I actually remember, I feel like a big shot now because I actually remember going to his office and him working on me. Can't do that nowadays. He trains
no, he's very reputable in the nutrition industry. He's a pretty reputable guy.
I had no idea.
Helps a lot of people.
So I gave him some black Spanish radish, and he started to notice the problem go away. So I was like, well, what I found is in my body is that I was having yeast infections when I would get, especially from the hops and certain kinds of food, like steak and certain types of protein, right? I would get yeast infections in my blood, and it would act like a reflex disease or stomach, a lot of acid in my stomach.
Yeah.
Okay. So the yeast and sugar reaction started to stop because the next thing that happened is my sister and I. Now you got to realize my sister and I are we're not good to be together. My little sister and I are not good to be together. Okay, you need to understand that. And here's the reason why, and I probably shouldn't say this on a recording, never mind in public, but I'm not worried about money. Okay? I'm not saying I'm a millionaire or anything like that, but I'm not worried about money. And I'm down there and I'm like, a good chunk of change in my checkbook. She has no idea. And she's crazy. So we would go do some crazy shit, either, like, for example, I bought an iPad down there and she's telling me I can't buy an iPad. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I went to Best Buy's and bought an iPad in the middle of the pandemic from the curb. Right. And so it was just blah, blah, blah. So
sure.
So her and I, we decided we're going to go on a keto diet. She decided and convinced me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that means if we're going on a keto diet, guess what her husband's going to do without choice? Okay?
Yeah, that's the only food in the house, dude. That's what you get.
Yeah, and she cooks. She's a monster cook, right? So we go on this keto diet, right? And unbelievably, like a week later, all this stops for him.
That's absolutely unbelievable that all those years, you'd think somebody would just check into something as simple as that. You'd think they would just ask somebody or nutrition doctor, the vitamin store, something, read a book, try something. That's too bad. That's annoying for that many years.
Yeah, he's
that's
like
annoying.
58 years old or 59 years old or something, 57, something like that, right? So here's my point. He was constantly using pills to control his heartburn, diarrhea, headaches, and sore muscles.
Yeah.
He was treating the symptoms.
Yeah.
Not the disease. So he went years, like you just said, years creating more and more trouble for himself, never ever getting what he needed and wanted. Okay?
Yeah, that's too bad, but he did.
So he was the cause of his own demise because he just didn't know. This is where the statement comes, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I have a feeling this podcast is going to have the same effect on our listeners today. They're going to, they are doing or not doing things that just shoot themselves in the foot. Just like my brother-in-law doing what he did with his diet. He was shooting himself in the foot and had no idea what was going on. Which, by the way, they were here at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And they had gone, now I'm talking about, I think we started the keto diet March, April, May maybe of last year.
Uh-huh.
Now he had lost like 60 pounds.
Holy Jesus.
50 pounds or,
Jesus.
I'm sorry, she lost 50 pounds. He lost like 35 or 40, 35.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I've lost that much on it. I mean, it's amazing actually. And I don't even care about the weight because I just don't, but man, do I feel better. Right?
People that are overweight, it's really the health that's the critical thing.
Yeah, I sleep better, all kinds of stuff. So he comes up for Christmas, and the first thing, all he's talking about on his right up is pizza, 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 pizza. So the first night they're here, I order from this specific restaurant here we have in Wallingford, because he lived in Wallingford before. And I ordered pizza. And all she kept saying is, you're going to be sick, you're going to be sick. And sure enough, he wasn't sick, but He ate the pizza, and like the next day or so, he just didn't feel good, right? So the funny thing is the breakthrough that I've had and have noticed, even though I hear them multiple times in multiple stories, are actually common between most investors in real estate. So in other words, I get them in different variations, like the symptoms I hear, right?
Yeah.
But what I've recently realized, because I've been really buckling down. I mean, my wife's away working in Florida, and I just work. That's all I do is work. I work, and I go to the cigar shop a couple, 2-3 nights a week, have dinner, and smoke a cigar. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. Right?
I can attest to that. I don't see you anymore.
Yeah. So I've been on the phones. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been doing my stuff, right? And I because I'm like buckled in. And it's amazing, Pete, because one of the things, and I'm going to get to the good stuff in about 2 minutes here, so stick with me, right? So it's amazing because I was thinking yesterday, and I was thinking it again this morning when I was getting ready to come to work. When you don't have noise or distractions in your environment, it's because I'm home alone, and other than me calling my kids or going to visit my grandson once in a while, I don't have any noise or distraction here. And it's amazing how laser focused I am and how easy it is to think. It's not like effort. It's just like it just flows. And things just smoothen out because I'm thinking better. It's a crazy phenomenon. I really need to work on that when my wife is around.
Well, it sounds good. I'm in the opposite right now with like a whole bunch of stuff at once hitting me from all directions that should turn out really, really good, but working hard for it. And oh boy, so I'm trying to get to the spot you're in a little bit, like
like which side of the fire are you on? Did you light the match or are you using the hose? You know what I mean? Like which side are you on?
I'm on both. I started it and I got to get through it. It's a great thing, but oh my God, it's not easy. Anyways, I know what you mean.
So this is one of the reasons why I had these epiphanies, because I'm like, I don't have a lot of distractions. So, these probably have been there with these clients when I talk to them. I do these one-on-one, which, by the way, if anybody wants to do a one-on-one, a 45-minute free consultation with me to just talk about your business or whatever you want to talk about, you can go to sorry about that, flippinghousesforrookies.com/free consult, and you could book an appointment there. All right, so let's hop right into the breaking each down piece by piece so we can see what's going on. Okay, so in other words,
this will be our diarrhea.
You had to do that, right?
I had to do that.
No, this is the 6th breakthrough and common reasons sellers don't do deals with rookies effortlessly.
That's right. That's our diarrhea.
Number 1, and this I could tell you I had a lot of trouble with, because I could do the entire podcast this week and next week just on this one. Oh, and I had to restrain myself to make sure I was concise enough to be able to not hog up this entire podcast just with this one. And Peter, I have to tell you, this is critically simple. But damn, when you get it right, it changes your life. It changes this business like a million times better. It's ridiculous how under the nose stupid this mistake is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, isn't that the way it is? The worst ones are like that. Yep. They're so simple you don't even notice it, and that's why it is, because we don't even see it. We're doing it.
I get a lot of people that say, "I wish I could do what you do," and I didn't even realize I was doing this. And then I started. I've been really digging in, because I've been reading a couple hours a day, and I really have started, which I didn't expect to start for 10 more years, but I've started my mail order business. Right. So my retirement years, I want to be a mail order guy. It sounds so stupid, doesn't it? I want to create sales letters and sell shit in the mail. But that's like, it's stupid. But I have a newsletter that I'm getting ready to release. I'm going to have a monthly newsletter. I mean, it's $100 a month. They're going to be $100 a month. But I got to tell you, it's it's 20 pages of one type of a deal strategy or one thing that it's as if I'm doing coaching, but it's a one-way flow. It's not the two-way flow, right? Where you can ask questions. And I know for a fact that this, I've surveyed it. I've got some good stuff. The people that I've showed it to are really excited about it. So here's my point, and I don't even know, this is not written here. It's just I'm kind of rambling right now. I have a full expectation before they put me under the ground. Okay, before I give up and say I'm done, and then they have to put me in a box, which won't happen. They have to put me in the incinerator because that's what I want, right? So I expect to fully create an association for investors, just like the Realtor Association. So my theory is the first step of that is this newsletter. So I'll go to my normal email group or my normal, my podcast listeners. I'll do that first, and then I fully expect to do a direct mail order business. Just to sell or introduce the newsletter. It's not even selling because I don't think it's that. It's just introduce it, and it's going to be made so that it's got 3-hole punch in it. It's going to be 18, 20 pages. There will be months I bet you it'll be 25 pages, right? And it's just raw data. So I'm kind of writing it as if, because one of the other things I want to do is write hat write-ups for all the positions in my organization. So it's going to be kind of like that, right? But it's going to be made so that you can put it in a 3-ring binder and actually turn it into like a reference book on how to do this business. So you have a manual on how to do this business, right? That will eventually, my newsletter business will eventually turn into the membership. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So because of this mentality, okay, and this how am I going to start this and how am I going to design? And it's not like I'm dwelling on this. This is just in my spare time, which isn't much. It's that's what I think about. That's my goal beyond the goal. Okay, right. That's my big picture. That's like my legacy type stuff. Okay. Because of that, I've been studying, I just bought a bunch of stuff off of eBay again, the books that are hundreds of dollars that were printed back in the day, 30s and 40s. Actually, the stuff I bought, I've been reading now is from the 70s and the 80s, back when mail order was huge, right?
Right.
This is what triggers this thought. I mean, I'm sorry to be making a short story long here, but here's where this stuff comes from, because I'm looking at the marketing and how to make it all work and all that stuff. And it keeps floating into my real estate business, right? So here's number one. And I wrote an email on this yesterday. If you're on my email list, you saw this. Are you flagging down the right seller when marketing and deal hunting? I'm going to explain this. But when you get this concept, it's like, holy F, right? Holy shit. Sure. I wish I could use the F word, but I can't because we say we don't swear here. So are you flagging down the right sellers when marketing and deal hunting? Now, if you're not, here are some of the symptoms I think you will recognize, see, or probably have. Okay?
Yeah.
No consistent income. You get big hits once in a while, but there's no consistent income. Spend way too much time on education trying to fix it. You're jumping from one thing to another, tax liens, to lease options, to creative real estate, right?
Yep.
Which, by the way, next week, it's a little premature, but next week I had a support ticket this morning, and I told the guy in the support ticket, I'm going to do a podcast just for him next week. And the idea is that he had been away for a while. He had drifted away for a while, and he's back, and he wants to get re-engaged.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk. Okay.
The re-engaged podcast.
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about, that kind of stuff. So spend way too much time on education. In other words, you're trying to re-engage. In other words, you should be able to eat a piece of steak and not be hungry anymore. Like, solutions are the end of problems, right? So if you're educating, either your education is not good, which we talked about multiple times, or you're educating for the wrong things. because education doesn't have to be 4 years. Colleges, universities that charge $40,000-$50,000 a year, they invented the 4-year curriculum.
Yeah.
For their pockets. They didn't do it because of the gradient. I mean, my daughter, Jessie, who's 28, just got her
master's.
No,
her master's.
I think is it master's or bachelor's?
Yeah.
What's the highest one?
No, I saw it on a Facebook post. It's her master's.
So now she tells me she's got a job opportunity, and the reason why she's excited about it is because they'll pay for her to go get her PhD.
Her foot. Oh, man.
I said to her, can you buy more houses with that? She just looked at me and she didn't say nothing. She's like, Dad, give me a break.
Bill, I have a student at Harvard. It's a music student. We do Skype. And I asked her point blank, she's supposed to be a doctor. She'll be studying into her 30s before she really, really starts working. I said, do you need all these things that you're learning? She says, oh, no. I don't need all this stuff. No.
Just need a degree.
No, she needs some of the classes, if you be a doctor, but a lot of the classes, you take all the fluff you don't really need out, the stuff that's just blah, 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 blah.
Well, here's a stupid thing to me, and I'm going to get off the subject because, again, we could divert. But here's a stupid thing to me. 2 weeks ago, I had a closing. I told you how much the check was. I told you. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That one check, that one deal, which, by the way, took me 2.5 months, was more than the job she's going to take for the whole year. That one check.
Yeah.
Okay, and she doesn't make $50,000 or $60,000 a year. It was more than that. Okay, All right. So let's keep going. Symptoms. So you spend way too much time on education trying to fix it. That's what we were just talking about. You think mine or others' sentences or tricks will help you convince the seller to do the deal with you. So you're looking for that trick. You're looking for that magic pill. You're looking for that one sentence where the seller will jump off the diving board into the deep end and say, "Oh, this is so refreshing. I'm glad you're here."
So you say that words are important, so we know they are. But what you're saying here is you just can't have the magic sentence and it all going to fall in your lap because there's a whole person there, a whole scenario.
Right.
You have to know the right words at the right time, but you can't just flip through some cards and here, try this one, try that one, and it might not work.
So let's just be clear about this because I said this in a podcast a few weeks ago, and I don't think it was strong enough. So the reason why the sentences that I use work is because of this. Number one, they're tested. So I've used them dozens and dozens, sometimes hundreds of times, and they always elicit the same response, no matter who they're asked to. Okay. Number one. So a good question should create a response, which is what everybody thinks they should do. But the truth of the matter is it's not the response that's the magic. It's your response to their response that's the magic.
Okay. I think I got it. So when you say the magic words from the magic scripts, they're not going to say, okay, sure, I'll do it. They may. Right. But if they don't, they're going to at least, because the question is so good, they at least say something that'll give you some knowledge or some information to work with. So now you can say something intelligent back to them and keep the thing going. Is that closer?
That's like the compass. So you go the right direction. The other night I was at the cigar shop and I got on Route 9 and I went the wrong way. Right?
Did you really?
It took me an extra 10 minutes to get to where I'm going. Why? Because I was going the wrong way. I was on the highway. I was just going the wrong way. That's like what we're talking about right now. If you don't ask the right questions, you don't do the right things, you're going to go the wrong way. Okay? Yeah. Let's keep moving because I don't want to spend all day doing this. So so here's another one. The outgo of money is more than the inflow. Spending too much money on education, but you're not getting any money back. You get wrapped up in systems and all the things instead of talking to sellers. Weeks, months, sometimes years go by before you even find a deal to work on. Those around you lose faith in you because you lacked the shut up check to shove in their face. You know, that check from real estate say, see, it does work. Okay.
Yep.
And I say that because not because it's a sarcasm or antagonism or anything like that. This is what people really want to do. They tell me, I want the shut up check. You know?
Well, it's a pretty big thing to make this work, and most people can't do it. And certainly people that aren't even trying, you know, how are they supposed to feel? Well, they're not even trying, and you pull it off. Well, it's encouraging that you can do it. And if they're nice people, they'll be happy for you.
Totally. So here's another one. You spend way more time dreaming about the profits than actually making them. Then when you make that one scarce profit, you've promised so many people the money that you get the money, you get the 30 grand, and it goes and it's gone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then it takes you years and months or years or whatever, years and months and years. Did you get that? Weeks or months or years, right? To get another $30,000 check. Or if you don't do that, then you get the check and then you live off of it for 6 months before you get another check, and then next thing you know, you run out of money and you go a month or two scrimping and scraping and trying to like get it going again.
Yeah.
So all of these manifestations are because you're flagging down the wrong person. Right? So let me read it again. Are you flagging down the right seller when marketing and deal hunting? And if you're doing it wrong, these symptoms I just spoke about will show up. Here's the point. It's like running out of gas while driving, and you try to flag down the mailman. Maybe a neighbor that's walking a dog. Perhaps you're going to flag down the ice cream truck. How about the newspaper boy?
Sure.
How about this one? I know. And this is complete sarcasm. I know. You can flag down the prime Amazon guy. Right?
Well, they'll be buying about in 5 minutes, and every 5 minutes.
That's my point, yeah.
They're there every 5 minutes.
No, you're not going to flag down any of those, because what you need someone with gas in a can. Right? A tow truck driver with a gas can would work. You would flag him down, right?
Yeah.
Possibly the house that you stalled the car in front of might have a full gas can in the garage. Right? Or maybe you called someone or whatever, and somebody came to you, like family member or friend or work associate or something, rescued you and had that magical can of gas in the trunk. They went and got that magical can of gas and brought you a can of gas. Right? So the first group could help. Right? The first group could help.
Yeah.
But only to the degree of locating the gas can. So they're a via. A via means not a straight line. It means if you're going from A to C, you go from A to B to C instead of going right from A to C.
Yeah.
Right. So a via is like a diversion. You know, it's not a straight line.
It's roundabout.
Yeah, it's a roundabout. That's a good way to put it, Peter. Thank you. So the first group of people, the mailman, all the paper boy, because that's who would be in the neighborhood. And I'm envisioning this because who's out in my neighborhood when I go out there? This is the type of people that I would have to flag down because they're the only people around. Right?
Too bad they didn't have the lawn guys out, because they have gas cans.
So I actually forgot to put that in. I put that in my email. That was one of my ones. Thank you, Peter. I actually put that in my email, and I forgot to put it here.
That's
so
funny.
Yeah, the lawnmower guys, because
the lawnmower guys, tons of gas cans. Yeah,
they got gas cans, right?
Yeah.
So the first group could help you, but only to the degree that they're going to call one of these other guys with a gas can, right? Which means the first group only helped develop more work for you. Or distracted you from actually getting the gas can.
Sure.
You see how that is? When you look at an investor's life when they're starting off, if you don't flag down the right sellers, This is what it's like for you. You're flagging down the mailman just to get to the gas can. It's a lot of developed work for you. It's a lot extra curricular activity. It's entertainment. It's not buying houses. It's not getting right to the chase. So now what happens is I get support tickets. The market is really hard right now, and I can't buy houses, and I hear it every day. In my city, I don't know about your city, Bill, but in my city, the houses are selling for 20 grand over market price. Well, you know what? If you're trying to buy on-market properties, yeah. What we resorted to is going to off-market properties. I did deal hunting monthly mastery last night. I was a little bit surprised.
Really?
Because the crew wasn't as big as it normally is because it's not a flashy sale. But I'm here to tell you that probate is an amazing place. If you were to do what I showed last night and just had 2 or 3 people sending you probate deals because you send out a few letters and created a few relationships, you could make a year's salary on a couple of deals. Do you know how I know this, Peter? Because when I was flying around the country 40 weeks a year working for Management Success, my daughter Jessie, who was living at 50 Sunrise Circle with me, I was doing 2, maybe 3 deals a year, 2 or 3 deals a year, making $125,000 a year, and I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
It was part-time money for me. And you know why? Because it was probate. I had a couple people feed me probate deals, and I knew who they were. I cultivated, and I showed all that last night, and it wasn't flashy enough. So there you go. I mean, the guys that were there did good, and the people that are in my deal hunting monthly mastery, which is $97 a month, got an extraordinary deal.
Yeah.
You got a job? You don't need to do all this stuff we're talking about. You don't need to do all this creative. Just get into probate. It's like a great thing. And you don't ever hear me say get into probate. Like I don't say get into wholesale or get into the. I don't talk about that because I don't believe in that. But probate's one of those things where if you get the right connections and the right people and the right little system, you don't need to do a lot. You'll need money, and you'll need or available money. And you'll need to do renovations. It's not something that you're going to expand into doing 500 houses a month. But for somebody that's working and likes to do that kind of stuff, it's a great little system.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to flag down the right seller so you don't run around the baseball diamond 40 times to get 1 home run scored on the board. So to me, when you're flagging down the wrong sellers, that's like every time you make a lap around the baseball diamond, it was a waste. Why did you do that? You only need the right home run. The only one thing you need is the one that they're going to put on the scoreboard. That's it. Why are you doing the other work?
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
A lot of the podcasts we do talk about the different kinds of marketing we do to find the off-market sellers. So we think we're looking for the right person. Are you saying that can shift in certain economies and we have to look a little bit in different places?
Yes, I'm going to cover that. It's not not exactly the way you're saying it, but I'm going to cover it so it's not confusing.
Yeah, because I really think I get what you're saying. And I'm looking for what should we do then, Bill?
Right. So
where do we look?
This brings us into number 2. All right, which is sellers don't notice you or think you are like others, like realtors. Right? This comes into the philosophy of USB, unique selling proposition stuff, which blah, blah, blah. You don't need to go learn that. I'm going to teach it to you right here, right now. Much like when I do direct mail and the receivers think my mail is junk. This is what it's like when you're when you're flagging down the wrong person or you're chasing down the wrong list. Right. The wrong group of sellers.
Yeah, they don't want to talk to you.
Right. You may have the wrong line to start. Much like in my direct mail, it's like a bad headline on the letter.
Yeah.
So like we're calling off market, and I talked about this, and everybody keeps asking it, so I'm going to just read about it. So like I've changed my script for the VAs because we're calling now. This is not for sale by owners, or this is not for any of that other. The other scripts still are in place. This is for off market, right? So think about it.
Oh, right.
If the pandemic comes and people still want to sell their houses, but they don't want to put them on the market because they don't want people tramping through their house, do they still want to sell?
They'd like to, yeah.
So what's changed? Them putting it on the market. Putting it on the market.
Yeah.
That's what's changed. Okay, so what if we got a list of people that might have the potential of wanting to sell?
Mm-hmm.
Right, which I'm not going to cover today. I'm going to keep that a mystery, right? Because it has to do with equity and age and all that kind of stuff. And we called them up and said to them, I'm calling because I'm interested in buying the property over at X, 123 Main Street. Is it for sale?
Mm.
Within 30 seconds, you know whether or not you have somebody to talk to or not.
Sure. That's yes or no.
Here's the thing. You can buy they want to sell their property, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to put it on the market. If you can use some of the strategies that I've taught you over 242 podcasts, you can work a deal out with them because they want to. And since we've been doing that, all of a sudden I've got deals going left, right, and center. I've got 7 or 8 leads to call today that just came in from yesterday since I've changed that script less than a week ago.
Mm.
It's flagging down. That's flagging down the right customer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it to you again. Hi, I'm calling because I'm interested in buying the property over at 123 Main Street. Is it for sale?
Mm.
That's flagging down. That's not flagging down the mailman and the newspaper boy. That's getting the gas can and getting the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm. That's like getting the gas can and saying, is there any gas in your can?
Right.
He might not.
Right.
But he might. At least he's got a gas can.
So like I say, that's exactly right. So I say, you may have the wrong line to start the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong question, the wrong line.
Okay.
Much like in my direct mail, it's like a bad headline. So I do my direct mail, and if I don't have a bad headline, in other words, you have to catch their attention somehow, some way, quickly.
Right.
Right? You sit now, which, by the way, I want to go back to that sentence because we're also testing. I'm calling because I'm interested in making an offer for the property at 123 Main Street. Is it for sale? I'm finding that they say, "What's the offer?" Because they're getting 5 phone calls a day, so we're not using that as much. The other thing you could do is if you're texting, instead of saying, "I'm calling because I'm interested in buying the property over at X. Is it for sale?" You can say, "I'm texting because I'm interested in buying the property over at X. Is it for sale?"
Yeah, that's a funny thing because it's not common English right now. Hey, we say, "Did you text me?" or "Text me," but it's like I'm calling you, I'm texting you is not as typical something to say. But you're not calling if you're texting, so it's kind of funny to say it that way. So yeah, texting is more realistic.
So you simply have to attract not sellers, but as I explained in number 1, the most likely seller to match what you need and want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most investors do this backwards. They try to convert any old seller into the way the investor wants to buy. They do it backwards.
Yeah, it's like we think we can convince them because we have magic words, we have magic deals. Oh, I can make you extra money. But in the first place, they're not interested.
Right.
You didn't even get off the ground with them.
This is where investors think they need all this training to convert not likely sellers into what you would want them to do. Waste of time and resources. Right? Let me give you a very short example of this in the direct mail business. You know how you make a shit ton of money in the direct mail business?
No.
You find a list of people that have bought something similar to what you're selling and you mail to that list. Hello.
Yeah, no, I did run across that. Yeah, you're right. I did run across that once.
right?
You
So
open up a
if I-
donut shop. Who bought donuts before?
right.
Who likes donuts?
Who's likely to do that? Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you mail to that list because they bought somewhere else before, something similar to what you have. So why not clearly define your resources, like I have zero money, or I have 10 grand, or I have 100 grand, maybe $1 million to do deals, either your money or available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then look for the sellers in those groups of what you have for your resources. So if you have no money, then go look for slot deals. You're looking for people that have very low equity and can't get out of their house because their cost to sell is too high.
Yeah.
Or they don't want realtors, right? Expired listing might be that, because the realtor didn't do a good job for them. So now you come in and say, well, why don't you give me a shot? And
Right.
I won't charge you all those fees, right? Or if you've got, if you got 10 grand and you want to invest it, or 20 grand, then go look for subject to deals or owner finance deals, free and clear deals.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, how do you find a subject to deal? I'm going to give you that script right now. You ready? Here's how you find a subject to script. A subject to deal with this script. Pete, would you be willing to sell the house for what you owe on it?
So, for what I owe on it? Well, I might say yes. I might say no.
There you go. And if he does say yes, then what you say, I put this in an email the other day. If you're on my email list, you would have got the script.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it out for you. So if he says yes, then you say, here's how it works. Pretty much, the mortgage stays in your name, the deed comes in my name, and would that keep you awake at night? Oh, it will. Okay, good. Would you do a lease option? There you go.
All right.
The reason why it worked is not because of the words. The reason why it worked is because you flagged down the right seller and they're interested in hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce, pre-foreclosure, probate. Those are good places to find those deals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, probate's not good for subject to, but it's good for those cash deals.
Yeah.
So each strategy we have has a different type of public or listener or seller that would be interested in that strategy. Mm-hmm. So you're doing it backwards if you're just like casting the net. Now, I do that with mail and stuff like that because I've got a lot of experience converting that. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have a lot of experience converting people, then if you want to get Alaskan salmon, then go to Alaska and get the salmon. Mm-hmm. Don't go to Florida and try to catch that fish. Mm-hmm. Why are you doing that? It's a waste of your time. I know, Pete. The listeners want to do that because then they can brag about how they're real estate investors and how they're doing all this work and how they feel good because they're doing things. Everything except making money.
No good.
Right?
Nope.
So here's what happens. Well, actually, I thought I skipped something. Let me see here. No, it must be later in the show. All right. So does that make sense so far? What we're talking about?
Sure.
Okay, sure. Good. So that brings me to number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't want what you're offering.
That's kind of a dead giveaway, I guess.
Yeah, but it happens and you don't know it because you think you can convert them.
No. I keep thinking of your main line you've said many times, maybe not lately, but you tell people find a motivated seller. It says it's find a motivated seller. That's like, finding the right person. It's not convince somebody to be a motivated seller. You can't. Right. You can't. If you're not hungry, you're not hungry. Hey, honey, you hungry? No. Let's go eat. I'm not hungry. Come on, let's go. No. You got to wait a little bit.
Exactly right. So what most don't think of, Pete, is this. Every seller is a prospect. Every seller is a prospect. There are no suspects.
Well, when you say seller,
hang on. Let me finish. Every seller is a prospect. There are no suspects. What makes them a suspect is how you are willing to buy their house from them. Right? If they like your ideas, they become a prospect to you. If they don't like your ideas, they're a suspect to you. They're not a suspect in the real estate business or the real estate world. They're a suspect to you. They're a prospect to you. Right? So if you have no money and you're trying to do lease options or slot deals and they don't want to do it, then they are a suspect according to your available resources or knowledge. If you're looking to do subject to deals and they say no, then they are a suspect to you or to your available resources. Which is why I have my VAs using the new qualifying sentences. Right?
Okay.
I'm calling because I'm interested in buying the property over at X. Is it for sale? Right? We don't waste time this way. By the way, we only use this, like I said, on off-market lists. We pull them off a prop string.
Yep.
Most aren't selling. So we need to get through all the ones that are not selling. What we're doing is we're flagging down the right person. Do you have a gas can? Do you have a gas can? Hey, do you have a gas can? Hey, do you have a gas can? Kind of like being at the agricultural fair, and there's hundreds of people or thousands of people, and you're walking around and say, hey, you got a cigarette? Hey, you got a cigarette? You got a cigarette? You got an extra cigarette? And then finally somebody will say, oh yeah, I got one, and they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Right? So we pull these lists off prop string. Most aren't selling. For sale by owner list are selling, so we used to use those with different scripts because there was a lot of them. But with the pandemic, the for sale by owners went away. There wasn't a lot of them. And here's what happens, people. Here's what happens. Just as I've spoken about so many times before, because I've been through enough cycles now that I've seen this. It's the realtor that's on his high horse and the mortgage guy that's on his high horse and the real estate investor that's doing really well and thinks that he's the cat's meow to the business. And all it is an up market. He's riding the wave much like a surfer would. How good is a surfer without a wave? He can't do his tricks without the wave, can he? So these mortgage guys and these realtors, right now it's brutal. The lawyers and the realtors and the mortgage guys, they just think that they're, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
They feel like they're really smart and clever and they got this really cool business and look how they built this business.
Yeah.
No, they're riding the economic wave.
Bill, I'm working with a broker selling my family house right now, and she was telling me how, so how much should we ask for? Well, I'm just honing it in. We should be blah, 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 and I think we'll get over, and I'll do a good job for you. And I said something kind of politely like, well, it's not that hard right now, is it?
There you go.
I did. And I didn't do me. We're really good friends, and, she, anyways. But, I wasn't doing it to be mean, but like, look, come on. It's not that hard right now.
Right. So that's what my point is. So realtors look good right now because they've done everything that they've done before. It's just all of a sudden the market is different, right? So Gary Halbert, who is a kick-ass, killer, extraordinary, unbelievable copywriter, he's a Dan Kennedy mentor. Now, Dan Kennedy is really good, but this is a Dan Kennedy mentor. This guy was around in the 50s and 60s. Okay, wow. He was the one that wrote some amazing headlines. Like one of the headlines I think he wrote is I'm not going to remember it. One of the car companies, like the only thing you hear at 60 miles an hour is the clock running. I think it was Bentley or something like that. I forget which manufacturer it was. Anyways, Gary Halbert once said, sell food. He was asked what he would want if he could start all over, if he could, all that kind of stuff. What would he want? What would be the one thing he wanted? And he said, to sell food to a hungry crowd. What would I want? I would want to know where there's a hungry crowd so I can go sell them food and become rich. Yeah. All right? Number 4. How am I doing so far? Okay?
Sure.
Okay. We have no comments or nothing, so I don't know what's going on. I mean, it looks like there's people watching us, but I'm not sure. There must be. I must be like either out left field or there's just I'm doing a good job and they don't have any questions, but there's not anybody over there.
Speaking on behalf of the rookies, we're wondering how we would do this, and you're not quite telling us today.
Okay.
You know how to use. Okay,
number 4. These are things you shouldn't do.
Yeah. No, we're wondering like how do we get the list? How do we do that list that Bill's talking about?
Okay.
But go ahead, finish up.
I just told you, go on PropStream. That's where we're getting it from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have some parameters you're looking at.
So number 4, can't afford your deal.
The seller can't afford your deal?
Yeah, so let me go over this again because I want to make sure that because you look like you're lost. All right, so number 1 is, are you flagging down the right seller when doing your marketing or deal hunting?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is, sellers don't notice you or think you are like realtors. Number 3 is, they don't want what you are offering. Those are all because you're talking to the wrong list.
Yeah.
Right? Now what we're saying is they can't afford your deal.
Right.
So this is a big mistake 99% of all real estate folks make. How much profit is in each deal for the seller? Until you know that, you're making the wrong offer. Okay?
Yeah.
Unless you do the loan to value math, which you can find at flippinghousesforrookies.com. Just go down to where it says Creative Real Estate Course 101 next to the pretty girl with the money on it. And just sign in. There's a whole video in there that's totally for free to show you how to get the loan to value ratio so you know what somebody's profit is. You could be making offers sellers could never do mathematically.
Oh, right.
So here's an example. The seller owns the house for 140. It's worth 200. Right? And willing to let you take over the mortgage and walk away. No real repairs or nothing like that. They owe 140. And it's worth 200. You're like, wow, this is a $60,000 deal. This is good, right? But the monthly payment's $2,300 a month.
Oh.
And you feel that you can only rent for $1,900 a month.
Yeah.
Right? That's like top rent. Should really be 17 or 18, but you're going to push it to 19. The seller can't afford your proposed $1,500 a month payment because he or she needs to add $800 a month to your payment.
Yeah, they'd have to chip in because it's somehow they might have a 15-year mortgage or something like that, or whatever they did. It's just too much.
Right.
I've seen.
Or they could have 2 mortgages.
Yeah, I saw a condo once, $2,000 a month. Like, no,
Right.
the way the payments turned out, like, why? But it happens.
So number 4, they can't afford your deal. Okay. So the mistake that most make is you don't get the right. You're not flagging down the right numbers. You're not asking the right questions when you're pre-qualifying. Like the big question is a lot of times we do something with the financing. You have a mortgage, right? And then you say, yeah, they'll say 99% of them will say yes. If they say no, then that's the first indicator they're a suspect. Okay. So what I'm saying is that they'll say, oh yeah, I owe $140,000. Oh, okay. How much a month do you pay with that? With all the interest and taxes and all that stuff.
Right.
And
You got to find out you got to find out what it is.
Right. Which brings me to number 5. Okay. Number 5 is they don't believe or trust you. This one and number 6, which I'm going to go over in a minute, are probably the biggest unseen deal busters in history.
Yeah. Well, hey, you just got on the phone with them and you're offering them to do this, that, and the other. They don't know you from anybody.
Right.
So what do we do about that one? Go ahead.
So the most common reason someone doesn't sell to you, once we get through 1 through 4 above, which we just spoke of, 1 through 4 already mentioned, right, is your offers not strong enough?
Oh, well.
Not mathematically.
Oh.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
We haven't talked we have talked about this in other podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
The sequence is problem, then solution.
Right.
Too many people talk about the solution and not the problem.
Pitching all the things you can do for them before you've really heard them out, right?
So here, most investors don't make strong enough offers by not giving the flaw first. Then how you can help the seller with it. So watch this. So Peter, you're going to have so your job transfer says that you need to be there by the end of the month, correct?
Yeah, it's really tight.
So if I don't buy your house, what are you going to do?
I have to leave it and hope it sells when I'm not here, and it's going to be harder for me to control that. I won't be around, and that'll be annoying while I'm trying to settle into a new place and a new job. I don't want that.
Okay. So let me tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then I give him an offer.
Yeah.
What if I were to pay you $1,500 a month? I'd pay you $200,000 or whatever the number is, and I give you $200 a month, and I take care of all the maintenance, all the repairs, and everything, and we could do this in a week. Would that work for you?
Well, I think I might lose some money, but compared to the alternative, yeah, I'm getting a good rate. Yeah, it's worth it to me.
Anyways, my point is that you talked about the flaw first. Then so you talk about the problem first, and I think problem is too strong of a word, but the flaw, the thing that they're trying to avoid first. Right? Here's another one. So Peter, I know you and your sister inherited this house.
Yeah.
Were you guys planning on coming here every single weekend for the next 2 months to clean it out and get it renovated so you can give it to a realtor?
No. No, not my schedule. No, I don't want to do that.
So have you found someone that would take it the way it is and give you a pretty good bucks for it?
Yeah, how much?
I'm asking if you found someone. You're assuming that it's me.
Oh, no, I didn't hear your question. Yeah. So I haven't.
It's the same thing. So I'm like, so let me give you some numbers and see if I'm that guy for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what this reminds me of, or the way you explained it and the way I've understood it, we're getting equity in the house because we're solving some problem for them. They're paying us to do something, to fix something that's annoying to them, but we have to know what it is.
Right.
We have to talk about it, because why are they going to give us $10,000 or $20,000, $30,000? Because they like us? Because we're doing something that's annoying for them and getting it off their plate, and it's worth the 10 grand, the 20 grand, the 30 grand. Oh yeah, just get it off my plate, because it's the annoyance is equal to that amount of money, or the money they're going to lose if they don't do something, or whatever it is. But it's to pay us for helping them with something.
How about this one, Peter? You're right. How about this one? Dennis, how about I take your clouded deed and you don't have to worry about it? Or the other way that we could do it is you could pay the 15 grand and go 2 years to uncloud the title if you have to go to litigation. And then I'll come back and buy it when we're done.
That's a nice one.
When you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, we made $93,000 off those couple of sentences because he's like, no way, I don't want to do that. I've had enough. I want the deed out of my name. My son's coming home from jail. I don't want him to come back here. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
So in that scenario, you actually showed a solution compared to a worse problem.
Right. So what happened?
Or you can do that.
What happened was that we had already talked about the flaw. What I had done is I had done a title search to find out that I forgot what the action's called.
A quiet.
Oh, quiet title. That's
Quiet
what it was.
title.
Yeah. So it's called a quiet title action. Right. So quiet title action means it goes to litigation. The court sees all the claims against the title. It sorts it all out. Once the court makes a judgment, then everybody has to quiet. They have to go quiet. That there's no more litigation. There's no more nothing. The judge said what he's going to say, and that's it.
Yep.
John is asking any tips. Let me get this over here. Any tips for someone that wants to sell but doesn't want family members to be upset with them because it belonged to a family member? You get that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do.
Okay, tell
Being
me.
in the middle
tell
of
me
one of
what
those
it's-
myself. Sorry.
So tell me what it means. 'Cause I
Well,
don't get it.
so there's my family to be upset with them because it belongs to family. Well, I don't know what the exact upset would be, but when you have a family home and it's being sold, people in the family have ideas what should or shouldn't happen to the house. I thought I'd move in. I thought you should buy it. I thought we should keep it and blah blah blah. Rent it, split them. There can be a lot of opinions on who should do what.
Says they have passed.
Yeah, they've passed, but then family members had ideas what should happen. I'm guessing that's what it would be.
So here's my answer, John. So my answer is this. Whose name is on the deed? That's it. So the only votes that count on what happens to this property are the names on the deed, not the people receiving the money. If the names on the deed are the ones that are having the quarrel or the upset, then you're going to need to go speak to or put together all the parties in one room, or go speak to them separately. And these are good deals, John. These are some of my best deals. It usually works for me in divorce. But you can actually get a release from the courthouse and go get releases. A release is that they're not going to put a claim towards the estate. So if you get releases, like I bought a house one time, a house in Manchester. I remember it standing on the porch. I don't know why it just popped in my head, but I bought a house in Manchester, and there was a woman with a husband and a sister with a husband, and there was a lot of influence. Then there were like grandkids and nieces and all that kind of stuff. So I said to her, "I'll give you an offer for this amount," which was a good number. "I'll close in 2 weeks. But what you have to do," and she was a paralegal, so she understood this. "What you have to do is you have to go get releases that the rest of the family is not going to put a claim against the estate." She called me 2 days later. I got all the releases. Okay, good.
So in a case like that, a family member could put a claim against it because they're a family member. They're not in the will. They're not in the deed.
All they have to say is, "I think I deserve $20,000."
Wow.
And submit it to the court in writing, and it tips the whole probate thing upside down. Because now the court has to go do its investigation, do its due diligence, and then adjudicate whether, let the person say why, let them give their evidence. Well, my grandmother told me when I was 6 years old that I could have the apple tree in the backyard, and that because the oven's in the kitchen, I have to cook apple pies in there, and she told me that was going to be a business for me. I mean, it could be that way. It could be that crazy. Right? Let's see. John is saying one name she just doesn't want people. One name she just doesn't want people to hate her.
I think one person.
Yeah.
He's talking about one person. Oh, probably the lady, the executor of the estate.
Yeah. So the best thing to do with that, John, is to pawn it off on the judge. So get all the data together and tell them to go to the judge and let the judge help them. Let the judge be the social worker, not you.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
Because that's what they're getting paid for.
There you go.
Okay. She's the only name on the deed. Yeah. So just get it all in the probate court, and the probate court will sort out the assets the right way. Okay, good. So we're going to move on to number 6. Okay. Which, so number 5, I said, was they don't believe you or trust you. So number 6 is a very close cousin to that, which is confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the one I have trouble teaching in my coaching group.
Yeah.
Okay. So not so much in the investor, but the seller. So I have trouble coaching people that have a lack of confidence giving offers. offers.
Mm.
What I'm talking about today is I'm talking about confidence that the seller will have in doing your deal. Like
Making him confident. Yeah. Making him believe in you.
Yeah, that you can perform.
Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is a chicken and egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because what comes first, like what comes first type of thing, right?
Sure.
Because if the investor does not feel confident enough to perform, it leaks into the deal and feeds the seller's lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with, Peter, I think I could give you like $1,500 a month, and I might be able to find a seller, and maybe in a couple of years we can cash you out.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a bad start.
You're not sure yourself.
Yeah.
You haven't. First thing is you've been listening to somebody like me, and you may not believe me, or any of my students or testimonials. You've not seen it, so you're still questioning it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's you, the first thing you should do is probably not try to do any other deal except a slot deal, and just do a couple deals and test drive it and demonstrate it for yourself so you can see that it works.
Yeah,
because it does work. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people doing this every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you need to build your own confidence first. And the only way you can do that, and I promise you, Peter, I have beat this horse to death, and I'm still swinging and shooting my gun. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The best way, the absolute, definitely most valuable use of your time and the most certainty you can build is to be a reluctant buyer. Do not go to try buy a house.
Mm.
Find somebody on Flakebook. Go into the marketplace. Find somebody that's renting in your area. Strike up a conversation with them. On Messenger. Ask to go see the house, and just get in the house and talk to the seller. Do that 3, 4, 5, 10 times in the course of a month or a month and a half, and I promise you, all this confidence will build without even you knowing it.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And by the way, when you're in the house, record yourself talking to the seller, and then go outside when you get in the car and you're driving home, listen to yourself speaking to that seller. And I promise you, that is the best coach you will ever get, is you. Just if you're having trouble with building confidence, you don't need to buy my crap. You don't need to buy everybody else's crap. What you need to do is you need to handle yourself, on yourself, with yourself.
Yeah.
You need to handle yourself, on yourself, with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do that, then just stop right now. And the best way to do that is get out there and just talk to some sellers. Don't make any commitments. Just go listen. Go study your seller.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here's what they say. Here's what they say in the online business.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like hate mail. Right?
Yeah. The
people that vote with their wallets are the only ones that count.
Yeah.
Right? So your buyers are the ones that count. The haters, or as Ben Settle calls them, the trollers, the ones that troll you. Right? Laugh at them. Mm-hmm. So the suspects, laugh at them. Right? Their problem is their problem. It's not yours. I want to get $225,000 for this $180,000 house. Okay, go for it, dude. It's your house. Right? Mm-hmm. You flagged down the wrong seller. Is this making sense?
Yeah. Well, you talk about being needy and people not liking that. And, it's like dating. If you chase somebody, they're going to run. If you play hard to get, they might be like, turn around a little bit and look what's behind them, or look what's playing hard to get. So being reluctant is the opposite of being needy. Like if they think you need it, they don't want to work with you.
Right.
So you got to relax. And I think you'll find that there might be a jerk or two out there, but you might not go see the house with the jerk. You can probably tell on the phone. And if they're decent enough on the phone that you feel like going to see the house, they're usually very nice people.
Yes.
Most people are nice. Stop reading the newspaper. They're nice. They're trying to sell the house. You come to look, honey, somebody's coming to look at the house. Sweep the floor. Put the clothes away.
So here's some numbers, Peter. 2.5% of the population are the real bad guys.
Yep.
They influence another 17.5%. So the total population that's either a bad guy or under the influence of bad guy. And by the way, the people that are under the influence of the bad guy usually don't know the bad guy's doing it.
Yeah.
That's 20%. So that means 80% of the population is good.
Gee, sure looks like the opposite in the news and the media, doesn't it?
Exactly.
But go outside, talk to people, go say hello on the street, and most people are nice.
So now pay attention to this, Peter. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to sneak a sideball in here. A curveball in here.
Really?
Yeah.
A curveball.
Yeah. The investor has to guarantee what he or she is saying with good believables that are used like this. If this, then that. So it's an if this, then that scenario. So when you're trying to get somebody to believe you, the first thing you got to do is find out if this and then that. The first thing you got to do is find out what's going on, and then you do an if this, then that, right? And then your proposal, let me do this again. You propose an if this, then that solution when the investor owns the property, right?
Right.
Like, if I can't get my buyer to cash you out at the end of 2 years, then I'll go get my realtor who does 50 or 60 deals in a year for us, and I'll orchestrate the whole process so you don't need to do anything except cash your check when I'm done.
Yeah. I've never heard you put it that way, if and then.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you're negotiating or working on something, because there's questions. Well, what if? Because things do happen. Right. We don't set out a deal and it falls in our lap because we said so. Things can change, and they're worrying about that, aren't they? But what if? What if? But they have to tell you so you know to respond to them. So you have to make it safe for them to say that. Like, do you have any concern? Is that okay? Well, what if? Well, if that happens, then I'll do this. Oh, okay. Well, what if this? Well, then if that happens, I've done this in the past and it's worked. Then okay, there's no ifs left.
It's actually software language. If this, then that.
Really, software language?
Yeah, it's software language. So it's like if somebody clicks on this link, if they click on this link, then do this. If they click on that link, then do this. It's an if, and Emma talks about that all the time. If this, then
that's cool.
Then that, right?
That's good.
So what about if they're worried about tenant buyers not paying or wrecking the joint? So my story is this. Well, let me ask you this. If somebody rents a car, do they wash it, change the oil, and do they take care of it? No, right? They're just renting it. They may not destroy it, but they're not going to take care of it.
No, they got it for a week or two. No.
Right? But if they bought that car and they're paying for it, right? Would they then change the oil, wash it, and take care of it?
Right. Absolutely.
That's who I'm selling to. They're buying the house. They're not renting. By the way, we take a substantial amount of money for deposits. So if they don't pay, we have reserves, or if they do damage, we have reserves. So you're totally safe.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a guarantee? Yes. Is that confidence? Yes. Right.
Good.
So, So to finish off here, actually we're a little bit early, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to do just out of my head something before we finish. But to finish off today, I would like to mention a lot of magic, and every deal comes from the discovery stage. And handling the seller's rebuttals correctly, which are fully covered in podcast number 205 and 206. Then in episode 242, which we did last week. So go listen to episode 205, 206, and then episode 242. And that would do amazing things for your cluttered mind, right? They would make a quantum leap for you.
Yeah.
In your career.
Yeah, we get all involved in like what we want to do and how much money we're going to have and all the things we can do. But we're not going to do anything unless you listen to the seller, ask questions, care a little bit, be interested, try to find out what his world is like.
Right.
And I have some idea what that's like now, selling the family home, because I'm on my foot's on the other shoe here, or the shoe's on the other foot here. So, if you haven't sold a house or two, you may not appreciate that somebody has a lot to do. It's a big deal. It's a lot of money, and it's a big house. It might have been the family for years. You got to respect that. Don't just think they're there to put money in your pocket. You have to really respect that.
Correct. So let's do this. I'm going to ad hoc this, okay? I'm just going to ad lib it. I'm going to ad lib this.
Off the top of your head, you? No way.
Yeah, I'm going to ad lib this. So one of the things that I learned a very long time ago is a powerful executive. A powerful executive. In other words, an executive that makes a lot of money and does wonderful things with their group has this magical ability.
Yeah.
And it comes down to probably just this one thing, as far as I'm concerned. He notices indicators early on. Like John called in sick on Friday. I wonder what's going on with John. He hasn't called in sick in 2 years. That's an indicator.
Right.
Then John calls in sick another week later. Then 2 weeks later, he calls in sick again. Those are all indicators. And then all of a sudden, now John's the manager and runs the whole place.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, John quits. And now you're stuck like, oh my God, who's going to run the place? Had you paid attention to the indicator when he took the first day off, you wouldn't have had the emergency.
Right.
So most, especially self-employed people, most investors don't notice the indicators. Okay. Now, sometimes you can't notice an indicator because you have to have an ideal scene to notice as a departure from it. Like
right.
I'm going through
compared to.
Right. I'm going through that with Sean right now, the guy that I'm training in my business. It's actually our business. We started another. And what I recognize is he's a millennial and he likes to go fast and he likes to do all this automation stuff, but he doesn't know what the ideal scene is. He doesn't know what some of the barriers are because he's not invented that. He's not seen them. So he's trying to invent something and he's trying to change the system that's been successful.
Right.
So he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Right.
Yeah.
So here's my point. When you look at from an exterior viewpoint, in other words, you're not in it, you're not working in the business, you're working outside of the business right now. There's an indicator. The first indicator is if somebody goes to the MLS or they go to a realtor, here's the indicator. They want their money in the next 30 days. Right? So when you call my realtor, they think that the realtor is their consultant and they're looking for their money in the next 30 days without aggravation.
Right.
Little do they know. Okay. When somebody puts a house on the market as a for sale by owner, here's the indicator. The indicator is they don't want to pay fees or they don't like realtors.
Right.
Those are the indicators.
That's what that means.
Right. When somebody doesn't pay their mortgage, like in pre-foreclosure, the indicator is not that they lost their job, not that they don't have income, but there's something else going on with them that they feel like they can't get another job. So there's a scarcity mentality, or there's something like that going on behind it. They're afraid. They have their head in the sand. They haven't confronted the problem. They're in fear. They're in terror. They're worried about every little thing, and they are full of anxiety. And the littlest thing sets them off.
You told a story once about a guy like that who wouldn't even open his mail anymore.
Yeah, most of them don't. Most of them don't. Okay, let me give you another one. Here's another one. You roll up onto a house, right? And there's stuff all over the yard. There's boats, and there's trucks, and there's campers,
tires, mattresses.
Right? That guy or girl is not good with their money. They buy more liabilities than assets, and they've overextended themselves. It's an indicator.
Yeah, I thought you meant junk on the lawn. You're talking about boats and cars and things. Yeah.
Well, it could be either one. It could be junk, or it could be, well, the guy with the junk, he's gone so far as not managing his money that he's now dispersed, and the effect of it.
Yeah, he's down the tubes.
Right. Okay, where the guy that has, he's got a big boat, he's got a camper, he's got 3 cars in the yard, he's got all the toys in there, he's got a riding lawnmower, the big one, the 42-inch that he rides around in that was $6,000, right?
Yeah.
He's obsessed with toys. That's a good indicator, because you're going to go in that house and you're going to be able to find out that he's not good with his money. Or he's got a shit ton of money and he doesn't care, which is not usually the case.
Yeah.
Indicators. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at lists, okay, and when you're looking at groups of people, you need to look at these indicators. Like, for example, for sale by owners, you're going to flag them down and you're going to talk to them about not paying fees, saving closing cost money, and possibly making top dollar, because that's what they want. They want top dollar. A FSBO wants top dollar. That's the reason why they're not using a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
When you're doing probate, like I was talking about last night, my probate system, when you're doing probate, what do they want? They're not trying to get top dollar. What they want is they want their money. It's found money.
Mm-hmm.
They want their money as quick as they can with the least amount of aggravation.
Sounds about right.
Right?
Yeah.
You do divorce. You buy a divorce list. And what do they want? They want away from the other person. They want them out of their life. I just bought a house. The house I was just telling you that I just closed on, I had it for 2.5 months. It was because of a divorce.
Mm.
The guy brought $39,000 to the closing just to get rid of his wife.
Yeah.
Ex-wife.
Yeah.
Right? And he thought he was getting away with it because it was originally $171,000 that he was paying for the ex-wife. But he figured, what do I pay? $171,000 or $39,000? He paid the $39,000. Was very happy to do that.
Yeah.
But he moved on with his life. It's done.
Yep.
Right. So when I say to you, you have to flag down the right seller when marketing and deal hunting. If you're looking for sale by owner, and you say to them, "Hey, would you be willing to lease for a month or two? I'm sorry. Would you be willing to lease for a year or two and then sell it to me?" What are they looking for? I just told you. What is a for sale by owner looking for? They're looking for top dollar, and they're looking to get all their money now with all the fees, because they probably can't afford to use a realtor. They'd have to come out of pocket with money. So they might respond to that. Mm-hmm. They might not. It's like you're kind of flagging down the wrong person there. Right?
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yeah. There's a couple of factors, like how much money they want and how fast they want it, right?
Right. So this is where I'm talking about the trigger points the last couple of weeks, right? The trigger points are, so what decision did they make when? And that's the indicator of what group you put them in. Like, for example, if you want to do slot deals and you want to do lease option deals, the group of people that you would want to go to are people that are already renting, because they've already made the decision that they have to rent and collect monthly payments. And then And then you come along and say, well, I'll give you, I mean, your tenant's giving you monthly payments and you have all the landlord obligations. Why not get rid of the landlord obligations? And then I'll end up buying it from you because that's what they originally wanted to do in the beginning anyways. Because it's probably an accidental landlord. Meaning they put the house in the market. They couldn't sell it. They had a payment. They were stuck. They already moved into their new house. Now they got double mortgage payments. They couldn't swing it. So they rented just to relieve themselves of the debt. Now you come along and say, well, I'll take all that debt and I'll like take care of all that maintenance and repairs so you don't have to be a landlord. And then when I get all done in a couple of years, I'll pay it all off. And you don't have, it could be out of your hair. You see, that's flagging down. That's getting the can of gas when your car's out of gas. That's getting the tow truck driver to drive up. You see how much different that is, right? So the divorced person, I'll go speak to your ex-husband and get him to sign the deed. If I can do that, will you sell me the house? Yes, absolutely.
If then, you got an if then there.
Yeah. So you bring up the flaw first, and then the solution. Right. But if you're going to start off from scratch and do deal hunting, then it's advice from the beginning. Now, when you get into my position, you don't do any of this stuff, which is why I didn't think of it. Because here's the deal. I'm just putting out campaigns because I don't give a crap what comes my way. I'm going to make a deal. But I've got hundreds of deals under my belt and 20 years experience. In the beginning, you don't have that. So how do you get that experience? How do you get to be like me? And I'll tell you how you get to be like me, doing deals. How do you get to do deals? Just what I'm telling you. You select what type of deal you want to start with. Or maybe it's your first deal and you got used to it, so you keep doing those deals. Sure. Which is most common. Right? And all I'm saying is at this particular point, be a little clever on who you're talking to. You know, I'm not going to go out in front of Chris Ruth's, the expensive steakhouse, and try to sell somebody a hamburger in the parking lot when they just spent $200 for a steak. Why would I do that? Right? Nope. Why would I do that? It's like asking somebody on the outside of a car wash, right? Once they've been through the car wash, do they want me to wash their car? Or wash their tires? Why would I do that? Yeah. Right? No. What I want to do is I want to do just like what Gary Halbert said is the one thing I would want to do is find a hungry crowd and sell food to them. So when you're manufacturing your business plan or when you're looking to get deals, and if you don't do this, if you don't do what I'm talking about, then all of the manifestations, which I'll read and then we'll end off, show up, right? No consistent income. Spend way too much time on education, trying to fix it. You think my or others' sentences or tricks will help you convince sellers to sell to you. The outgo of money is more than the inflow. You get wrapped up in systems instead of just talking to sellers. Weeks, months, sometimes years go by before you find a deal to work on. Those around you lose faith in you because the lack of the shut up checks. You spend more time dreaming about profits than making them. Then, when you make that one scarce profit, you've promised it to too many and have to and have nothing left at the end. Or you have, what did I put here? And have no, I don't know what I put. I put no think left at the end. So
have nothing left.
Nothing left at the end.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of a weird podcast, but this is what happens. You know, the best piece of real estate you can buy on planet Earth, the best piece of real estate you can buy and get involved in on planet Earth is between your left and right ear. When you get that piece of real estate down and start producing, then the limit is no end. And that's what this is just stepping back a little bit and looking at who are you talking to.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's the beginning of the whole thing. I mean, you can have preparation, marketing stuff, but that's where you start really getting the process going, talking to somebody. So if you don't do that right, there's nothing to follow. So you make a good point, because we've had marketing and we have filtering and pre-filtering and pre-qualifying, but we can see that things change sometimes. So I've talked to you the last few weeks that you're looking for how to find that person that you can flag down, and it can shift a little with time. Things change, so keep it in mind and find the right thing to do that you can do. That's what I'm getting.
Shortest
That's
point
what
of
I'm getting
resistance. Shortest point of resistance.
That's what I'm getting out of this. Okay.
I mean, I over the weekend I've been watching these on History Channel, the Food That Made America, or whatever that series is, and the Great Food That Made America, or whatever
Really?
that is. Yeah, it's an amazing series. Amazing series. It starts off in the early 20s with Hershey and the chocolate and Reese's peanut butter cup and all that. But by accident, I stumble across, because I'm just binge watching it. I mean, I watch it because sometimes I'll watch TV for a half hour in the morning, and I'll usually watch it for a half an hour at night before I go to bed. Or if I'm eating lunch, I'll go just kind of chill out.
Sure.
In the summertime, I go out back and smoke a cigar and do something. But in the wintertime, I'm stuck inside. So anyways, my point in telling you this is the story about Burger King pops up.
Oh.
And boy, that was an interesting story.
I don't know that story. I know the McDonald's story. I saw the movie and all that. I don't know the Burger King one.
Well, that's what my point is that if it was not for Burger King, I don't think McDonald's would be where it is today.
Did McDonald's come first?
McDonald's came first.
Oh.
But they had a very limited menu.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Burger King came along, and Ray Kroc, who was in charge of McDonald's, who built McDonald's, right? Mm-hmm. Ended up saying to his crew, "What are we the home of?"
Oh,
because Burger King is the home of the Whopper.
The Whopper.
The charbroiled Whopper. And they went on a year to a year and a half expedition to find what they're the home of. The first thing that happened is they ended up in Ohio, where it's very religious there, a lot of Catholic people, and they wouldn't eat meat on Friday, so his sales would drop, and it was killing his profit for the week.
Oh man, that's funny. I never thought of that. It's true though, right? We're in Lent right now, and my more Christian friends are like, no meat on Friday.
Right. Oh. So he invented the fish fillet.
Yeah.
Kroc saw it, and they blasted it out, but it didn't get received well.
Huh.
And then some guy in the Midwest actually made the Big Mac, and that's what did it. And and then Kroc rolled out this amazing, like 2 all beef patties, pickles, onions, that little jingle that they had.
Special sauce.
Yeah. Right. And that's what. And then once he found it, but it took him a year and a half to figure that out. Once he found it, now all of a sudden, he sells 2 million hamburgers. And Burger King only sold 700,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So my point in saying all that is that sometimes you just got to look at the obvious and see what people want.
Yeah.
And just go there and give it to them, which is why my little formula is, find and talk to a motivated seller. Tell them what you do. I buy houses, excuse me, right? And then ask them what's needed and wanted. So what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And then use one of the 7 strategies and give it to them.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter. So make sure that you guys listen to this again, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything you'd like to tell me or say anything, you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, top right-hand side. There's a support ticket there. Remember, the link is in your description to go get some of your free stuff. And lastly, what I'd like to say is please, 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 please subscribe or leave us a review. If you don't want to do that or don't know how to do that, definitely go to the Flipping Houses for Rookies podcast page, and there's links on the side. It'll show you where to go leave some reviews. Last thing is if you so dare, if you dare to put your name out there. Go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and leave me a testimonial, or leave Pete a testimonial about what we do for you. I know that we don't talk about it enough to Pete, because I get a lot of one-on-one testimonials. I mean, just yesterday I got 2 support tickets. It's like, we really appreciate how much you do for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost every communication I get these days is, I really appreciate how much you do for us.
Yeah.
Or how much you give us. We give a lot of stuff away. In fact, I did an email the other day saying that, have I spoiled you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was actually like a list of like 11 or like 12 or 13 things that we do to give away free information that is extraordinary. Most people would charge for it. So go check that out. Okay. With that said, we're over and out. Thanks for being here. We'll talk next week.